¿Cómo es que sin tocarme sabes besar, sabes calmar mi alma? Rompes todas las reglas. Debería correr en vez de quedar pensando en...
In this video, we're going to be taking a look at Wave's Infected Mushroom Pusher as a final refinement solution for your mixes. I'll be the first one to admit, when it comes to different plugins, sometimes I'm pretty late to the party, and that is very much the case with this particular one. When I first saw this, I thought this was kind of catered towards just EDM music, but I gave this a shot about 3 months ago for the very first time, and I absolutely love it as a solution to take a mix that's already like 80-85% there and bring it to a final master. Let's take a quick listen to the track that we're going to be working with. So this is a track called I Could Get Used to This. It's something I produced for a Toronto Dominican-based artist by the name of Analia, and I thought this would be a perfect example to show this plugin in action. What we're looking at here is the stems that I printed, and this is basically what I used to archive. Let's pull up Infected Mushroom Pusher, and let's start going through some of these controls. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the input. We have this little LED indicator, and as this hits somewhere between the green and maybe even the occasional yellow or getting a little bit hotter, this is a good optimal level to be pushing into this plugin. Now we can push a little bit harder if we want. But typically speaking, I like to be somewhere where I'm just kind of tickling the orange in the odd spot. So I think we're at a pretty good spot. Let's start off by bringing in the highs. What I like about this is even if you push this all the way, it still sounds pretty smooth. Now, I'm going to be pushing things much further than I regularly would, just for the sake of demonstration or for anybody who's watching on mobile devices. But I'd say anywhere, as soon as we started to pass 5, we're getting a really nice effect there. I'm going to bring this out. Let's head over to the stereo image section. So you can hear that when we dial this all the way up, that the mix almost wraps around the sides of your head. You can hear the spatial sound quality. And of course, this is going to be just dialing this up to taste. Next up, let's go over to the magic section. And this is doing a combination of quite a few different things, but I like to think of this as kind of like fairy dust or harmonic saturation and bringing the mid-range into focus. Tu ropa perfumada, un café por la mañana, como tocas la guitarra. Tus ojos, tu dulzura, la dieta pescatariana, los silencios que te guarda. You can hear the mid-range is just popping out there. Let's go over to the dynamic punch, and let's dial back to about here. Rompes todas las reglas. Debería correr en vez de quedar pensando en tu ropa perfumada, un café por la mañana, como tocas la guitarra. So just that subtle pop kind of lifting out of the speakers. Now let's bring this down and let's go over to the focus section over here. This is doing a lot. And of course, I'm pushing all of these parameters for sake of demonstration really hard. Let's move over to the body section and maybe we'll go to a different part of the song. And can hear the weight. You can hear things start to thicken up. I'm going to move over to the low section over here. One of the things that's interesting about this is if you happen to know the key that you're working in, then you can simply make a choice in terms of the fundamental low frequencies that we're going to be boosting. Or you could just tune this by ear. You could choose anything. But in this particular case, I happen to know that this is in F minor, so I'm going to choose F as my fundamental. And watch what happens here now when I bring this in.
¿Qué tal si te pasa lo mismo? ¿Cómo es que sin tocarme sabes besar, sabes calmar mi alma? Rompes todas las reglas.
But of course, you can try any frequency that you want. Let's bring this back to its default setting over here, but I'm going to leave this in F. Last but not least, I want to take a look at this push mode. And in this case, it's worth mentioning that there's two different modes. We have clip mode and we have limit mode. We're going to take a look at both of these. And the way I'm going to demonstrate this is actually, I'm going to trim back my main outs by about 10 dB because we're going to push this quite hard. And I want to demonstrate the difference between the clip mode and the limit mode. So let's start off actually in limit. And we're going to look for some gain reduction happening over here.
Debería correr en vez de quedar pensando.
And let's move to a different section.
¿Qué tal si me dejo llevar y luego te quiero? No hay vuelta atrás.
Back to limit.
Would it be different this time? ¿Qué tal si te pasa lo mismo?
So you can hear we have a very different sound in terms of using clip mode versus limit. So now that we kind of have a lay of the land and an overview of what everything does, instead of just pushing these to their max, let's do a full reset over here and let's go ahead and dial something in that's tasteful. And it kind of keeps the integrity of the song and the sonic quality of where the mix is, which I like. And let's just kind of enhance it and see if we can get this past the finish line. Now I'm going to start by just setting this to F, and let's actually start with the lows and the highs, and then we'll start filling out everything else. Let's cue our playback from a little bit earlier. Start off in bypass.
Lo mismo, ¿cómo es que sin tocarme sabes besar, sabes calmar mi alma? Rompes todas las reglas. Debería correr en vez de quedar pensando en tu ropa perfumada, un café por la mañana, cómo tocas la guitarra. Tus ojos, tu dulzura, la dieta pescatariana, los silencios que te guarda. I could get used to this. I wanna get used to this. ¿Qué tal si me dejo llevar y luego te quiero? No hay vuelta atrás. Or would it be different this time?
So we're doing a lot there. This is very much kind of like a one-stop solution. If you have a mix and it's sounding really good and you just want to kind of push this, or maybe you haven't hit the mastering stage yet and you want to take a rough production mix that's pretty refined and you want to have something that's louder that you can listen to. But the magic in this for me is really in just having a lot of controls, which would be in my usual mastering chain if I wanted to take a look at enhancing the low end, enhancing the top end, maybe dialing in some parallel compression, some mid-range saturation, putting a clipper across the main outs before I hit a limiter, pushing a little bit of body. This kind of has everything that you'd need. So that is using infected mushroom pusher as a mix refinement and a last stage of final polish. If you're not yet subscribed to the Waves YouTube channel, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe button. Also make sure you click the bell icon so that you can be made aware as new content becomes posted and available. I'm Marcus Huskins, and I will catch you in the next video. Cheers.
Luego te quiero, no hay vuelta atrás. Oh,